on Virgo is understood. And there's another passage I want to read showing the significance of the Capricorn energy. Capricorn is an earth sign, and because the third and fifth rays work preeminently through this sign, embodying the third major aspect of divinity, active intelligence, plus that of its subsidiary power, the fifth ray of mind. These pour through Capricorn to Saturn and to Venus, so to reach our planet, the Earth. Saturn is one of the most potent of the four lords of karma, and forces man to face up to the past and in the present to prepare for the future. Let's see, there's another passage I wanted to read out of here, 167. It says, now this one here, listen very carefully, because it says, hence can be gathered together as to the interlocking forces of all the 12 constellations as they pour into and through all the kingdoms in nature, carrying with them also not only their own individual potencies, but also those of the 7 rays, focused to the sacred and non-sacred planets, the discovered and undiscovered planetary lines. It has been occultly said that a vision of these powers and their many weaving lines, seen as rivers and streams of light, is given to the initiates from the mountaintop of Capricorn once that summit has been reached. It is that transfiguration initiation that this vision appears before the eyes of the astonished disciples. The great experiences upon the various mountaintops, as related in the Bible, have all to do with Capricorn, Moses, the lawgiver on Mount Sinai, and Saturn in Capricorn, imposing the law of karma upon the people. A clue to the significance of the Hebrew people as a karmic clearinghouse can be found here. And so what I'm getting to here is, you may be wondering, why am I focusing all on Saturn? And I want to know if anybody can see where I'm leading to here. See, why did our ancestors put Saturn at such a prominent position or status? Who are the children of Saturn? If he rules the colors of brown and dark brown, and he also rules limitations, obstacles, oppression, who does that best describe? Right, we are the people of Saturn. And Saturn was, what has happened is he was put into exile. There's various reasons as to why. Some say the fight between Set and Osiris. Set is the planet Saturn, or the planetary name. Set and Osiris caused his exile. Some say that because he killed off his father Uranus, Jupiter killed him, had a battle with him. Jupiter was his son and had a battle with him and put him off in exile, and Jupiter began to reign. See? So there's many explanations as to why he went into exile. But it is prophesied that he will come back into prominence and come back into the rule of the earth in particular. And as he comes and rises in power, then that allows us to rise in power also, because that energy is opening up for us to take our position as the ruling powers of this earth. So this is the reason I'm concentrating a lot on Capricorn. It says that, in fact, this is the Christ energy represented by Jesus. Born when? December 25th, of course, this is Capricorn. As the reign of the Christ, as the Saturn returns, so shall the people of his energy. The winter solstice indicates the harvest as well as the apocalypse. And it will be the Capricorn energy that will activate and initiate this process. On August the 11th, 1999, all of the planets were lined up in the 6 signs of the zodiac: Leo opposite Aquarius and Taurus opposite Scorpio. This 6th cross of August 11th signified a reversal of the energy rotation from the physical material to a spiritual emphasis. This turn of energy, or return, set the stage of the fulfillment of the prophecy of the return of the Christ or spiritual reign, which has empowered the inheritors of Saturn's energy to open up a new era of rulership under the principles that governs the laws of righteousness of the universe. All 12 signs of the zodiac represent each of these principles. In order for the earth to become whole and full, all 12 of these principles must be active. The Earth is in the process of becoming a sacred planet. And any one of the principles, if any one of these principles are lacking, it would continue as an aberrant entity. With the energy reversal, the material will now take a backseat to the spiritual. And if we continue on our present physical path, not in balance with the spiritual activation, we will be going against the grain of the forces of the universe and experience a material decline and degradation due to the friction produced by pushing against the grain of the now spiritual rotation. Does that make sense? Is everybody following me here? We're already seeing this in a big way through weather phenomenon, especially. The 12 principles as demonstrated through the signs are as follows. We have Aries. Aries represents the first sign. It is the first sign of the zodiac, and it represents a spiritual warrior for justice. Remember, these are principles of righteousness that we all have to have, and the earth has to demonstrate in order to become a full and whole entity, sacred. So the first sign, Aries, demonstrates the spiritual warrior that is willing to fight for justice. The second sign, Taurus, is a redefinition of our values, moral and material. The third sign, Gemini, is a true understanding and of knowledge. The fourth sign, Cancer, is regarding the nurturance of our heritage, roots, and our beginnings. Leo, the fifth sign, it gives us the identity as the children of the creation. The sixth sign, Virgo, is the healing, or the healer. The seventh sign, Libra, demonstrates fairness, justice, and equality. The eighth sign, Scorpio, indicates regeneration and bonding. The ninth sign, Sagittarius, expresses the expansion of spiritual wisdom. The 10th sign of Capricorn is about humbleness and sacrifice. The 11th sign, Aquarius, represents the revealer in sake of humanity. And the 12th sign, Pisces, is about compassion for the misfortunate and the completion or fulfillment of the whole. This is our time now, okay? We must be the activators of these forces, okay?
What did you say Leo was?
Leo is the energy that identifies us as the children of the Creator. That's right. Yes.
You said Saturn represents
right.
Okay, so the other signs represent
Oh, well, no, I don't have the answer to that. Okay, I'm just focusing on Saturn because this was the main deity that our ancient ancestors worshipped. This is who they gave most of their praise and their worship to because he was the supreme, the ruler, the king of the heavens, as they called him. And I just want to make the point that if he was the king at that time when our ancestors were, we had civilizations that rose and fell, before other people even climbed out of the cave. So, and that's because they knew who to look for their power. And this was Saturn, who is our representation here. And that only goes to identify us as the ones who can rule with that same power. If we start, identifying with the same things that our ancestors identified with. Okay. And so I really didn't do too much research into what the other planets are doing, for the other races.
So you're saying our ancestors worship the deity?
Yes. Well, see, the deity these are really energies that were personified as deities.
They personified them as deities?
Yes,
our ancestors did.
Yes, yes. And I do have material here to back up this information.
From our ancestors?
Yes.
Or from someone else's interpretation of what our ancestors were?
Well, from the information that I have uncovered, it is what our ancestors, they looked at the heavens and they understood that the answers came from the cosmos, okay? And in order to be able to explain what these energies were unfolding, they had to personify these energies into something called deity. Netters, God. There's many names.
Not God.
Not God.
Netters does not mean God.
Okay.
It means
Well,
nature.
that's good. Nature, because nature is definitely a key here. Because all of that has to do with the elements.
So they didn't have God. They worshiped no deity. They tried to understand nature.
That's true. That's true. That's true. The only reason, I'm trying to put it in an understanding of what we look at it. We worship the gods or the deities as we as modern day people. Some of us, yeah, most of us. This is how we have been programmed to do, and we're trying to break that. Trying to break that thought that these energies are in fact gods and deities. Okay? They were only you were made to believe that because this was a way to personify them, to give understanding, so people could understand what it is that they were trying to symbolize.
I think what you're saying is that 99% of the information out here about astrology is not written. Therefore, some of the interpretation may not be on.
That's true. But that's one of the reasons why it's so important to understand symbolism. Because once you understand what falls under what symbol, then you automatically start opening up your mind to a concept. And you stop thinking literally, and you can start understanding more fully, what it is that you're dealing with. And when you can understand how to put something under a symbol that covers a broad range of meaning, then the literal meaning it's not that important anymore. You understand? You've superseded that. And sometimes, though, what I'm trying to do now is to kind of break down what we have come to understand and why we came to understand that why we came to understand it that way. I'm not trying to hold to those points. Or a lot of us, not all of us. I saw it. Not all of us, but too many of us, a big block of us, come to understand it that way. Okay. I'm not here. I'm not here to try to make astrologers out of anyone. Okay? All I'm trying to do is give a basic understanding so that we can begin to activate our powers, which are opening up for us. Okay? Because as we are moving into a new age and a new era, and it is going to be up to us to open up the world to that. Okay? So what I want to do is just give you a basic understanding of astrology so that you can start setting up your altars, doing your rituals. These are the things that they have scared us away from. But they are definitely using these things themselves, They're definitely, what they're doing is pimping our power. They have given us something else to believe in. And while we're focused on that, they have discovered, they have went into the pyramids, they have uncovered ancient DNA, and discovered the knowledge of this power. But they don't have the juice. We have the juice. It's in our melanin. So in order to use this power, they have decided to pimp us of it. They have us performing mass rituals for them. And we don't even know that we're doing it. And at the same time, they have turned us against, practicing our own rituals and our own, because they say, oh, that's taboo. If you don't believe in just the one God, you're pagan. And it's wrong to be pagan. They say, if you don't believe that Jesus died on the cross for you, then you're doomed, You can't be worshiping other gods. You can't be performing rituals and make it to the kingdom. So we're so busy defending that philosophy, and while we're defending that philosophy, they are empowering themselves through the means that we should be activating, to open up to our power. Anytime you go to a football game, anytime the Olympics, especially the Olympics, anytime you do those things that catches on, like the Dirty Bird, the Margarina, all those things where you get mass participation, those are rituals. Those are rituals to empower someone else. And that's fine if you're getting something out of it, but realize that you're putting your energy toward the empowerment of someone else. And when it could be best served to use for us, to bring us into this new era. Yeah.
Let me ask a question. There's a flow in the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the old saying, all God is filling that river, but they don't have it. They have.
Right.
It's part of the thing we use that to
That's right. That's right.
take out energy and, breathe through the ants or whatever.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly what they're doing. If you'll notice now, I don't know how many of you did watch the Olympic ceremony. That was nothing but a huge ritual. Ritual it was. The past Super Bowl, the halftime. That was. And let me tell you something. Now we all know the Titans. That's about that's blackness, right? Okay. So everybody was rooting for the Titans. All the black people were rooting for the Titans versus the Rams. Okay. There's actually a passage in the Bible, as a matter of fact, in Daniel, about the goat, Titans, which I'm connecting to Capricorn, and how the goat, his feet touched not the ground, and he floated through, and he ran up against the ram with cold, very upset, and he smote the ram and stomped on him and tore him up. So I kind of used that as an indication. I thought, well, maybe that's what's going to happen, significant if you're in Atlantis, I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's going to be significant. But, okay, it didn't happen. But during the halftime show, they performed a ritual. They had a huge statue, and it was a black woman. It wasn't, you could see it by the features, her full lips. They had a black woman statue who they came out through her legs, okay? And they were holding hands. Okay, you saw the black stars that they had performing this. And they said, we're going to march through to a new era. We're going to march together, holding hands together, black and white, all of us together as we march into this new era, So what they're indicating here is they're using us, they're putting us up forefront, to help march them through that gate. Because they know where the power lies. And we are participating, we're willing participants, but we don't know that they have us up front because we're like their black messiah. They think their ticket into this new world, into this new era. So that's the point I'm trying to make here is that they do use these rituals. They don't have the juice, but what they do is they get us to participate with them. And by getting us to participate with them, that empowers them. During that ritual, during the halftime, they had this one group of people come in with these hats on that had the Rams had the Rams horns on it. And they also did a commercial with the Ram truck. Now, if anybody knows, during the Super Bowl, those are the most expensive commercial time slots you're ever going to get. You see all new commercials during that time. You never see the old ones. They come out, they want to break out and show you what they've been working on, So why would the old Ram truck commercial all of a sudden appear, in this lineup of commercials? Because this was their signal as to, we are doing this ritual. We're paying homage to you, all of us holding hands together. you know. So this is the realms is who we want to empower here. And another thing that my son pointed out to me after the game, as I talked about the goat who was floating along, whose feet didn't touch the ground, well, the Titans tried to run the ball. Every time I told them to throw the ball, they made progress. But every time they ran the ball, you know, they didn't. Get this though, the Rams did not run the ball. They did not run the ball, hardly at all. If you looked at the stats, they stayed in the air. See, they did their homework. You understand what I'm saying? What we should have been doing, they are doing. And they're diverting us from that and using us to perform these rituals to empower them. And as long as we continue blindly, you know, to participate with them and not understanding that, then we're participating in our own oppression.
And you know, it's interesting they did their most important ritual for millennia on top of
Oh, yes, that's right. Is it city or state? I thought Georgia was the capital.
Atlanta is,
Okay, I know the state is. I know Georgia is. So, yeah, absolutely.
so
And
astrology.
it was all set up have penetrated either.
Oh, yeah, they know exactly what we don't know, and they do. And I could not figure out, I said, well, why? I said, why is it the Titans here in Atlanta, or Atlantis, you know, representing the metamorphosis, you know, why did the Rams win? And it finally came to me, this was the lesson that I'm supposed to learn from this. They used what we should have been using. And we just don't understand. They did not run the ball, they threw it. The goat floated, remember? So that indicated that if he stayed in the air, if he continued to throw the ball, you know, we didn't do that, but they did.
Another thing, Rams played that particular game prior to the guy, he made an imperfect play. The guy did catch the ball.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, to make sure they got in there. Make sure they got it, because they were going to have two black quarterbacks. You know. And they had already done their homework as far as the Rams. The ritual was going to get, that's right, absolutely. Right, absolutely. See, they took the power away from us. They took the power away from us. Phone call came from upstairs, okay? Not even the officials. And, you know, he did not catch the ball. And they're like, you know, reviewing, oh yeah, right, you know. But we knew what that was all about, you know, but what we didn't know, so we figured, okay, that's okay, the Titans, you know, they'll win this one, you know, in Atlanta, you know, that's okay, you know, they'll do it. And, no, but they already knew, like you said, that they had done their homework, they were going to perform this ritual, and they knew that they were going to empower the realm, and we were not going to win again. Yes, Kathy.
So basically what you're saying is that astrology and the symbolism of astrology is something that they've uncoded and deciphered and now are using against us.
Right, absolutely. The energy.
Right.
It's all about the energy.
I'd like to point on that also. Just reading some of the so-called great men.
Yes.
All those people practice rituals.
Absolutely.
Astrology.
Absolutely. And I have some materials up, and the reason I brought this material is to show you just that. See, this is talking about the Illuminati, the Brotherhood of the Masters, and they get into you and they're telling you all that they're doing. You know, the actresses and all the big time people that are using these types of rituals to keep themselves in power. You hear the curse of fame. Curse of fame. See, they know. They know. We're the ones that don't know. You know, so they are utilizing those energies. They're performing their rituals. You know, they're keeping themselves empowered. Yes, Wendy.
How does Capricorn represent Georgia State, the state of Georgia?
Well, you know, it's still all about the time that it took its birth. You understand? That's what gave it the sign that it had.
The day it was created came in as the state of the United States.
It was in the time of the Capricorn energy.
Ah.
But that wasn't just by happenstance. I mean, everything happens for a reason, you understand? So, because the Capricorn, it does represent the Capricorn energy. Okay. So, that just didn't happen accidentally. But that's when they, okay, let me see, where was I? I said, this is our time. We must be the activator of these forces to become whole, allowing the earth to blossom into the sacred fruit and take her place in the universal scheme of things. The spiritual does need a physical participant for activation. Understand? That's not going to happen without us or a physical being activating those spiritual principles. We have to activate it. And it says that in order to understand how to do this, we must understand the basics of astrological energy. As I said, I'm not here to make astrologers of you, but to give you an understanding of the symbolic significance of astrology so that we may be able to recognize how to open up to our empowerment. The gate has been opened, and it is widening daily. Our ancestors have a much clearer and direct access to us through our subconscious or spiritual mind. They have been perched and ready to impart all we need to know, but we have been preoccupied with the material world. This can no longer be, and all we have to do at this point is to open up to all the avenues of discovery. We will be seeing more of these things. We will be hearing more, feeling more, and receiving more. Okay? And I don't know if any of you have noticed, but you're going to start seeing a lot more spiritual. The physical, the material is taking a back seat as of August 11th of 1999. There has been a reversal of that energy rotation. So now things are going to take more of a spiritual connotation, than the physical. So the physical is going to take a back seat. In every sense.
Same example.
Your dreams. Pay attention to your dreams. There's messages there. All those things that your intuition, all those things that you just kind of, took for granted or ignored, just said, that doesn't mean much, or, that's just coincidence, or that's just, those kind of things. It's just coincidence. No longer, can we just cast things off as coincidence, or, we have to evaluate every little thing that just seems, that at one time seemed insignificant to us, That's outnumbered. Bring everything in. Bring all the energies in as far as numerology, astrology. That's what, get to understand what these energies mean, so that when you see something that you don't understand, you don't just say, I don't know what that means, and go on about your business. You can examine it, and start coming to an understanding. Why did I see this? Why did I hear this? Why did this happen? Why did I dream this? What I've taken to doing now is at the time of my birth. If I happen to see the clock and it's on the time of my birth, then I go back and examine what was I thinking, what was I feeling, what was happening, because that represents a special energy for me. So what was I doing at that moment when the clock ticked? What messages was coming to me at that time? You understand? Just start digging into some things that you didn't take time to dig into before.
I have a question. When Western civilization basically began to dominate the world, a lot of things they reversed.
Absolutely.
So how does this play into the information out here now? The reverse of the
Absolutely right. And this is why I brought up the reversal of the energy rotation on August the 11th, because that reversal, has, things have been reversed again now, okay, back to the spiritual. So everything that we knew, or everything that we focused on, we're going to have to start thinking in the opposite. We're going to have to...
Well, what about the information they have on the book? A lot of things that we try to acquire for knowledge and certain terms, we have to go
Right. That's why what I'm going to try to do now is to teach you how to think symbolically, so that you can go to their book, but you can assimilate the information. You know, you can take it from the literal, you know, to a symbolic meaning, which doesn't limit you to what they're trying to tell you. In other words, this language is very limited as far as our, you know, as far as our understanding, you know, as people. It's very limiting. And so we have to rise above this language. We can take their information, but we have to add it to what a whole wealth of information. We have to know how to fit it in where it should fit. What symbol does it fall on and fall under? And when you understand what symbol it falls under, then you get a bigger concept of understanding than how they say, you know, A, B, C. You understand? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm saying is that, you know, what they have is just a small fraction of what we're about to learn. And once you get attuned to understanding symbology, then you'll understand how to fit in their information, you know, into the bigger picture.
Mention one of the questions. Now, the pole star has changed since the observation was done what's now called east. Now, wouldn't that affect the position of the sun?
Oh,
To a
yeah.
certain degree, well, like a person thinks they're, let's say, Mary is actually something else.
Yeah.
It's one of the movies there, Mary.
Yeah, we can break that down into, there's a lot of ways that, like right now, you know, we're not in the year 2000, you know, we're not on this calendar. I mean, there's all kind of things that are different than the reality of things, okay? What we perceive, we've let other people define our reality, and now, the only thing I can say to that is that the new, what we're uncovering, what we're discovering, what we are going to be learning from our ancestors, so once we start opening up to that energy, you know, we'll put those things in its proper perspective, you know. We will all bring it together so that we can keep it and put it to the understanding that we need to get from it. You know, so yes, there's you know, we're not on the reality time. We're not in the reality of the signs as we know it. We're not in the reality of many things as we know it. But this is where we're counting on our ancestors to help us bring all this together and to the meaning that we need to have, you know, to do what we need to do.
I wonder if one of the things, you mentioned something about Saturn, and purpose, I guess like to do with flat, you know?
That's right.
Would that relate to shamanism?
Yes, it does. It does. You know, it's a part of
That'd be
it.
a means.
Yeah, be a means of trying to getting to understand. Right, right. But see, there was a time when, you know, we didn't have to have the shamans, you know, because we were individually in tune. You understand? We all had our own access. So it's like you didn't have to go to someone to tell you what to believe or to think or to open up and you know, that understanding for you, because you had access to that information yourself. See? By communicating with the plants and the animals and you know, with each other, the cosmos, you know. So we were our own shamans and psychics and all of that.
Just a point of information for the gentleman in the back. There is now the first Black encyclopedia that has been created by the Wonderful Words of Africa, the PBS special. I'm pretty sure if you go to PBS website, you can pull it down. And that, you know, they've been working on it since the early 1900s, so we now have a resource.
Okay.
CIA operation.
Yeah, but that's understandable. Everything is nowadays. There's nothing that's not. So let's get the information using our sensibility. So at least we now have a point of reference that we now have our own first Black encyclopedia. So it's been well done.
If you don't mind, if I see here that you have an agenda mapped out, Q&A is not so late. I just want to make sure that you can...
Okay.
I know.
Okay. Okay, others are already busy trying to usurp us of our empowerment. They have been busy for a long time. When you saw the increased interest in genetic studies and testing, that was a sign that they had filtered the genetic DNA coding of our ancestors' physical remains to gain access to the information that we must now take on. They have already discovered the knowledge of power, but they still don't have the melanin juice, as I mentioned before. That is why they've been pimping the juice through our willing participation in their daily rituals while they turn us away from the truth of this practice. Everything you celebrate, their holidays, their Super Bowls, their Olympics, their Dirty Birds, their Margarina, you are participating in one of their rituals. Anything that is done in mass participation is a ritual. And as I showed you before, and I do have these, if you want to purchase them, the Brotherhood of the Mass is the first thing, is this information on how they are using rituals to empower themselves. It says, and also, it says, when you allow others to pimp your power while diverting you from your own, they are diverting you from your own empowerment. And I'm not trying to turn you against religion or anything else, but when you allow your religion to turn you against what our ancient ancestors did as the supreme power, you are contributing to your own oppression. Can anyone reasonably believe that by practicing what our ancient ancestors did from the beginning is wrong? They had civilizations to rise and fall before others even climbed out of the cave. All that they are promoting as right for us has been pimped from us, watered down, and applied for mass manipulation. We as black people claim to want power. We are the source of power, but we are afraid to believe in our power. If we believe in our fears, we will live our fears. But if we believe in our powers, we will bust out so incredibly that we will shock even the very universe. The reason we have been undergoing this alchemy process, because that's what's been happening here, is so that we know fully how to utilize this tremendous energy once we are endowed with it. The white man abused his powers and he screwed up his world. But if we abuse our powers, it could have cosmic significance. This is the training ground. Start your lessons now. If you haven't already set up your altar, shame on you. I suggest you get busy. If you have and you don't know how to utilize it, that's what I'm here to help you to understand today. And the rest of my lectures will be dealing with the basics of energy understanding. And we'll get more into the lesson part of it now. And so now I want to move on to part B, which is symbols and planets. Okay. The planets, does everyone have an agenda? Okay. What we're going to start with is the planet. And the planet indicates what energy is influencing. That's, so we're going to look at what energy is influencing by the planet. The first one we're going to start with, of course, is the sun. The symbol for the sun, okay? And of course, just for reference, we're going to include it as a planet. We all know the sun and the moon, but they're, you know, so. The sun represents the focus. Wherever you see the sun in a chart, it's what's being highlighted. You know, that's the energy that is being highlighted. Okay? So, that's what the sun represents. And what you need to understand, what I'm going to do is just give you some key words here. And you need to try to understand what will fall under this symbol of the sun. What do I mean by focus? What do I mean by highlighted? When you look at a chart and you see the sun, then you know where you see that sun at, you know this is what's been focused on. This is what has been highlighted. Okay? That's always going to be the first thing to look for when you're looking at the planet. The next thing we look at will be the moon. This is the symbol for the moon. Okay? Does anybody know what the moon represents energy-wise? Yeah, it's the emotion, femininity, all of that. And it does represent the feminine. But as you start adding to your list, that's what I'm saying. You know, you start understanding what falls under what planet. You start understanding automatically when you see that symbol. Then, you know, daily you add to that till one day you'll look at that symbol and you'll get a whole big picture of what that symbolizes. Yeah, look. Yeah, that was see, because we don't want to confuse the moon with the sun, you know. So we just leave that. This represents the moon, so we can tell the difference between the sun. Okay, so the full moon does have it'll come into play, but we haven't got there yet. That's a little ahead of the lesson. I guess I can start just making this a little smaller. Okay, and the next planet that we'll look at will be Mercury. Can anybody tell me what Mercury is? No. Keyword. Understanding. Remember when we got in, understanding, communications, like she said, how we think, educate ourselves. That's what Mercury symbolizes. So when you look at a chart and you see Mercury working in a particular area, then you know that there's some mental activity going on there. When you see Mercury influencing you, there's something that you're being influenced to learn. Okay? It depends on where it's at. Okay? The next sign will be, I'm sure everybody knows what that one is, Venus. Okay? And Venus represents the love goes up under the no. Money. When you see Venus, you're either gonna, it indicates a relationship or it indicates money. Materials. Okay, and then the next one. Mercury had a horn up here. They're the same except for that horn. Of course, y'all can see I'm not an artist, but anybody know? No. Okay. And what does Mars? War. Absolutely. and all that falls up under that, aggression, whatever. And that's why it's always applied to the masculine, Mars is also, it's your energy, it's your punch, It is your sexual energy also, but where you see Mars. And then we have the next would be, I know you don't know what that is. No.
Jupiter, that's right.
We got an astrologer over here.
I see.
And do you know what that means? Abundance, yes. So you'll understand why an astrologer will get excited when they see Jupiter comes in a conjunction with, say, Venus. Somebody's going to have a lot of love and a lot of money. So, and the next, okay, don't say nothing, Mr. Astrologer.
Saturn.
All right. Yes. Right. It's
Everything but a black people.
yeah, everything. Let's see. Obstacles, limitations, restrictions. Okay. And see, that's why Saturn got tabbed as the bad guy. But there's a paradox in all of that, so we're not going to get that deep yet. And the next after that is
Neptune.
somebody said it. Who?
Another,
You right?
And Uranus is ruled by Neptune or something.
No. You're dealing with planets. You're dealing with all planets there.
I'm trying to just name all the planets. Pluto don't come up to one.
And this here, Uranus represents your revolutionary energy.
Okay.
And we are, that's what we are moving into now, the Aquarian age. It's still going to take about another 150 years for it to completely come in. Right now it's in the overlap with Pisces, Pisces represents like the religious age, mass manipulation, where Uranus is going to represent the individual discovery of our own unique gifts and talents, that we're going to have to uncover and bring about that revolutionary process. About 150 years. You'll still be around. Yeah, we will. And the next one is... All right.
I have a question about Neptune. I was not saying it's not too far to go to a degree, but it's like a
Yeah, Neptune, anything out past Saturn is not. Saturn is the drawing line right here. That's why in here earlier I mentioned him as Cronus, time. Okay, anything within Saturn is under that time. See? And anything after Saturn, even Uranus, the one before that, is outside of Saturn. Because as I name them, we're going out further and further, And so that's outside of Saturn's range, so it's not within, our present sphere. You're right. So, and this, like you said, is duality. Okay. Also, last one that we'll be dealing with now will be
There you go.
and, okay, what does it represent? What was that? Yes, or regeneration. Which means the death of the old and the rebirth of the new at a higher level. Okay?
Yeah, would Jesus went through on the cross.
Hmm?
The Jesus went through the crucifixion and the rising.
Right, absolutely. The death and the rebirth. Symbolism, yeah. The death and the rebirth. Okay? Those are the planets. Now, the signs represents how the energy is influencing. In other words, the sign is the method, you know. So we got the what, and now we got the how. Of course, okay, now, the first sign of the zodiac?
Aries.
We had Aries answer that one that quick. And the symbol for Aries? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so what does Aries represent?
Mars.
I mean, as far as it represents, you're
Leader.
getting ahead of
Action.
action.
So you're asking, that's basically a verb or a noun?
Yeah,
What-
remember, because it's the method. This is how now.
How?
Right. And see, and you need to be able to keep that separate from the planets now. Because the planets is what, and the signs are how. Okay? So that's action. And the second sign is Taurus. And Taurus represents, I always call it the lover of the zodiac. Not in the physical sense, but in the sense that it's very cohesive. It brings people together. You know, the bullhead is, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. Those are some of the characteristics. It can be stubborn, and boy, temper, all of that. Well, see, that applies to another sign more. That applies more to Cancer. See? So, but, the lover is the best word I could come up with.
Is it a materialistic side?
Yes, definitely, because it's an earth sign. It's an earth sign. We're going to get into that also, the elements. See, the elements give you the general characteristics. So, yes, it is a material sign. All earth signs will be the material sign. But especially Taurus. As a matter of fact, well, Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus, which is the planet of money. You know, you don't see too many Taurus without money. You know, without some kind of bank account. You know, if they can help it, you know.
So you see too many of them with anybody who is
Okay, and then the next sign, of course, is
Gemini.
that is the third sign. And these are going in their proper order. And Gemini is
Wishy-washy.
all right.
duality.
Teacher. Yeah. Great speakers, a lot of them.
And then we have after Gemini,
Cancer.
and like the gentleman said over here, Cancer represents the mother. Okay? It represents the mother. It's the maternal. See? And also the feminine. The planet that rules Cancer is the moon. See? So, very emotional. Emotions. Yeah. Yeah. Well, because they say Cancer is where their heart on their sleeve. And they've gotten the bruise so many times, they learn how to, like you said, go inside that shell or do a retreat. They're very subjective. They get their feelings hurt if the mailman don't leave them any mail. You know what I'm saying? Nobody loves me. And somebody like a Leo is scratching their head going, okay, and the next sign, like we said, is the... No. These are the signs. It's a fire sign, and it's the egotist, of course. But and it also represents the sign that it represents children. It represents your pleasures, your creative energy, your creativity. That's why children fall up under Leo, because it represents your creativity.
So the main one would represent what?
What? Oh, okay. The main would be, well, I would say your, we're going to say the egotist.
A lot of your models be Leo.
Hmm?
A lot of your models.
Well, they like the limelight. I mean, there's some shy Leos, of course, but, they like to be on the spotlight, And that's why they call them the egotist, because they get a little jealous if somebody else is getting some attention.
And they like being in charge.
Oh yeah, they're what you, we're going to get into this, but their modes are the stick. In other words, they're stubborn. They're hard to bend. They're very hard to bend. And then we have after Leo. That's the symbol for Virgo. Did I get that right? And Virgo represents health, healing. That's the healer. And servant. That's the worker sign. That's the one that will go to work. Right. That's an earth sign, so the materials. But they're very unmaterialistic as far as, they're, when you think about the other two earth signs, when you think about Taurus and Capricorn, they're the least material.
They just like perfection.
Yeah, they're the perfectionists of the zodiac. They're the perfectionists. They're the ones that want the details, the ones that drive you crazy about the details of things. They want you to break down a sentence and why is that period there? Why is that comma, Why does that act like that or work like that? They want everything in place. Very critical. But not only on others, but on themselves also. Mm-hmm. They are the perfectionists of the zodiac. Very, very meticulous. And after Virgo, and we all know this one, Libra. And we all know what that indicates on balance. You have justice, fairness, harmony, It's an air sign, so it's kind of detached from its emotions. That's the reason why they have, the blind justice, because that's to indicate their emotions, they're detached from their emotions so they can make a objective decision. Balance of decision.
Thank you.
Yes, all air signs are mental. They're the intellectual. All the air signs, they have that superiority when it comes to their mentality. And then after that, and what does Scorpio represent? That's what everybody says. And you know what? Aries is the sex sign. Aries is the sex sign, you guys, because Aries, Mars rules Aries, and that's the sexual energy. Okay. The reason why they say Scorpio is the sex sign because it represents the genitals on the body. Okay. And the reason also is because it's actually the
I have a question on this. Now, at first, Mars is a planet of Scorpio. Then it came out with Mars, Pluto, now they say Pluto. Now, Pluto is not part of the circle. How does that fit?
Well, exoterically, it's Pluto as far as Scorpio, and then Mars is a co-ruler. Okay, that's the way. But it all changes. You go esoteric, you can, but it's the co-ruler.
And I think it was the sign Scorpio initially before the discovery of
Pluto.
But esoterically, Mercury also has a positive.
Yes, it sure does. It does. When we start going, right now I'm trying to get, just the basics here. And then the next sign after that is, that's the symbol. That's it. And what does that indicate? Do anybody know?
Isn't that explosive energy?
No. It's the, I always call it the, because it's ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter, remember, is abundance or expansion, so Sagittarius is a fire sign, very gregarious, it's always exploring new ground, new experiences,
You might just start new projects.
new projects, new adventures, or the adventurer. That's another good name for it. Adventurer, explorer, anything that, it's like Miss Pac-Man, or what is that, Mr. Pac-Man, or whatever.
Kind of like
Yeah,
Well, that can be like the Caucasian,
and actually, Zeus, Jupiter, all these things, and Jupiter is like the opposite planet of Saturn. So you already understand it now. You see the symbolism? Because it is the opposite planet of Saturn, and you just said that's like the white race. And it also represents abundance. And see, and during the Olympics, when they were doing their rituals, they were doing it to Zeus. Zeus would be proud, they said. So you're on point there. You're picking up what I'm hoping that you'll pick up out of this. Okay? The next sign is
What?
Capricorn. And I'm going to read you something here. I know.
Yeah, Jesus.
Jesus, yeah. And, yep. And,
Say a little thing on the cross. Exactly.
yes, absolutely. Yep. See, that's what happens when you start delving in the symbolic. See, you start coming up with all of this. All of this will start fitting. You'll start, and then when we start getting into opposites, see, then you start getting into opposites, and then you start picking up principles, and then the opposite of that, and that brings together some more wholeness. See.
What did Capricorn represent?
So that would mean every time you call on the name Jesus, you call on their God Zeus.
Absolutely. Now do you see why they got us so focused
Going to church all
on that? Right. That's the reason.
So for me to say that I'm giving my blood and soul to Jesus, I'm actually giving it to their God Zeus.
That God Zeus,
So,
who is the God of materialism and abundance, which represents the Olympics. And right, you know, and they're empowering that when they serve Zeus, they're saying, please keep us in our abundance.
right.
Please keep us in this material abundance, see? And then when they got us manipulated into, see, they don't have the juice, so they have to get us to do it for them. See?
So his name, that Messiah 2,000 years ago, his name could never be Jesus.
No,
It could never be Jesus.
never, no.
Okay.
No.
So for me to say that that's my personal savior, that would be incorrect.
That was incorrect.
That would be totally
Absolutely.
given homage.
You're yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're giving your energy.
Right.
You know. Now you want to know who the pagans really are, okay?
I have a question, and I thought the Greeks copied their God.
Well, they did. Everything is pimped off of, and I mentioned that. Everything is pimped off of our ancestors. They have watered it down. They have, conformed it, polluted it to fit, their principles of math